Okay, so get ready, because in this deep dive, we're going to be talking about something that's been blowing up lately. And I got to say, you guys had some pretty strong opinions about it when you sent this in, semen retention.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely one of those things where everybody's got an opinion.
They really do.
And a lot of curiosity.
Yeah, and this all started with this conversation between two people who are going back and forth
Yeah.
about, the benefits of semen retention, or if there even are any.
Right.
Um, and one of the speakers right off the bat is like, I don't know, man, this is just sounding like a bunch of dudes who can't get laid.
Yeah.
Like literally the phrase rebranding of can't get laid is used.
Well, I mean, it's certainly a direct way to put it.
Yes, very direct.
But, it does raise a question, right?
Yeah.
Is this just something that guys are telling themselves to feel better, or is there something more to it?
Exactly.
So I think it'll help them get with somebody.
Yes.
Like, that's the big selling point,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is this the secret?
Right.
And then they bring up Genghis Khan.
Of course they do.
With Alexander the Great, there's these historical figures who are known for their, escapades.
Right. Are they using them as, like, evidence against semen retention, or?
Yes, like if Genghis Khan was, doing his thing, then clearly this isn't, the secret to success.
Right. Well, I mean, there's so much we don't know about these historical figures.
Of course.
To use them as an example is a little iffy, I think.
I think so, too. It's like, are these myths about these powerful men throughout history, are they actually, like, contributing to these beliefs today?
Yeah. That's an interesting thought.
Like, if Genghis Khan didn't buy into it, then maybe it's not all that.
Right. Maybe it's not the secret.
Yeah. And this kind of gets back to this whole idea of, like, masculinity and power.
Totally.
Which I think is a big part of this whole conversation.
Totally. Men especially are always looking for that, like, cheat code to success.
Yeah. Like, what's the edge?
Exactly.
What's the thing that's going to put me over the top?
Right.
And so this conversation goes on. And the skeptic is basically like, look, it's not about semen retention. It's about motivation. It's about drive.
Okay.
And they tell this story about how they, were intimate with someone in the morning of a world title fight.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, I never abstained from, doing my thing, even when people were telling me it would give me an edge in my training.
Okay.
And they were like, my drive comes from within. It doesn't come from,
Interesting. I'd be curious to unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, is that really where the drive is coming from? Or are there some other things going on there?
Yeah, or there's some insecurities maybe.
Yeah, insecurities, anxieties.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a way to kind of, like, overcompensate.
Exactly. Yeah, like there's always more to the story than what we see on the surface.
100%.
So then the conversation takes another turn.
Okay, where are we going now?
To fapping, as they call it. Which, again, kind of gets lumped into this whole, semen retention thing, even though they're not necessarily the same.
Right, it's like a whole spectrum.
They're connected.
Yeah.
But they're not the same. And this is where they actually kind of agree.
Okay.
Both of them are like, yeah, excessive porn consumption, especially using it as a way to fall asleep, probably not the best habit.
Yeah. And there's a lot of science to back that up.
Exactly.
You've got addiction potential.
Right. And then what about the impact on your actual relationships?
Exactly. Can you separate the two?
Right.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. And then there's the whole physiological, like the blue light.
Oh, yeah.
Messing with your sleep.
Melatonin disruption.
Yeah.
All of that.
So, like, there are real consequences to consider.
For sure.
And I think this actually brings us back to this idea of, like, holistic well-being.
I was just thinking that.
It's not just about this one thing.
It's all connected.
It's about how all these different parts of our lives are connected.
100%.
Yeah.
Mind, body, spirit.
Exactly. And it makes you think, like, how many people are gravitating towards these ideas because they're just looking for that quick fix?
No, totally. It's like a magic pill.
Magic pill, the shortcut to a better life.
Who doesn't want that?
Right. And so what do you make of that?
Well, we do live in a world that's, all about those life hacks.
Yeah.
Those shortcuts, those, like, instant results.
Instant gratification.
Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah.
People want the easy way out.
Right. And is there an element of, like, control there, too?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if I can just control this one thing,
yeah,
then maybe I can get a handle on all these other things in my life.
Right, because then it's like you're in the driver's seat.
Exactly.
You have the power to change things.
Yeah.
And that can be really appealing, especially when so much of life feels outside of our control.
Totally.
Yeah.
So with all of that said,
yeah,
the big question is,
okay,
does it actually work?
Right.
Is there any truth to this, or is it all just a placebo effect?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
And, from a scientific perspective, the evidence is pretty limited.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that people aren't experiencing something.
Right, because there's the whole placebo effect,
Exactly.
which for those of us who maybe haven't taken a psychology class in a while,
Right.
remind us what exactly is the placebo effect?
So basically, it's this idea that our minds are so powerful that if we believe something will work,
Oh,
our bodies might actually respond as if it is.
so you're saying our thoughts can actually, like, influence our physical state?
To a certain extent, yes.
That's wild.
It's pretty amazing.
It is.
It really shows you how interconnected the mind and body really are.
But it can't all be in our heads.
Well, true.
Like, what if someone really does experience positive changes?
Right. There could be other factors at play.
Is it possible there's something more to it?
We have to consider something called confirmation bias.
Okay, and what is that?
It's basically our tendency to seek out information that confirms what we already believe.
So if I already believe that semen retention is beneficial,
Yeah,
I'm going to be on the lookout for any little thing that proves me right.
exactly. And you might even downplay or ignore any evidence that contradicts your belief.
Oh, that makes sense. And this is where it's so easy to get caught up in, like, anecdotal evidence, right?
Totally.
Like, my friend's cousin's brother tried this, and it changed his life.
Testimonials are powerful.
They are, but it's like you have to take it all with a grain of salt.
Absolutely.
And actually, this reminds me of, like, all the conflicting information out there about diet and exercise.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's like what works for one person might not work for another, and it's so hard to know what to believe.
It's overwhelming.
It really is.
And that's why it's so crucial to be critical thinkers,
Yes.
to question everything.
Do your research.
Exactly.
And, speaking of looking at things from different angles, we can't talk about this without talking about the cultural and societal influences around sexuality.
Right.
Like, that has to play a role in how we view practices like semen retention.
Yeah. I mean, for centuries, certain cultures have viewed semen retention as this, path to, enlightenment or vitality.
Yeah, even supernatural power.
Yes, exactly.
Like, it's got this almost mystical quality to it.
Yeah, and while that might seem a little out there for some people,
Right.
it's still a big part of the conversation.
Totally. And it makes you wonder, like, is it really just about the physical act, or is there something more?
I think that's a great question.
Like this desire for discipline,
Yeah.
self-control, moderation,
Yeah.
maybe even a connection to something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah, it's like this search for meaning
Right.
in a world that often feels meaningless.
Totally.
So I get it.
Yeah, it's like how some people find comfort in religion,
Exactly.
even if they don't necessarily agree with every single belief.
It's about what it represents.
Yeah, it's about finding that sense of belonging.
Yeah, or purpose.
So where does that leave us?
Right back where we started.
We've talked about the psychology,
Yeah.
the cultural influences, even the placebo effect.
And it all comes down to this idea of taking a holistic approach.
Okay.
If you're considering trying semen retention, ask yourself, what are you really hoping to achieve?
Right. Are you hoping that this is going to fix all your problems?
Exactly. And if so, you might be disappointed.
Yeah, so instead of looking for a quick fix,
Yeah.
what if we actually addressed the root causes of our issues?
Like if you're struggling with low energy, maybe you need to look at your sleep habits, your diet, your stress levels.
Yeah.
Are you feeling anxious or insecure in your relationships? Therapy might be a good option.
Yeah, therapy's great.
And there's no shame in that.
Not at all.
So it's about being honest with yourself,
Yeah.
about what you're hoping to achieve.
And being willing to put in the work.
Exactly, because real change takes time and effort.
It's a journey.
And it's not always easy.
No, it's not, but it's worth it. So I think what we've learned today is that semen retention, it's not some magical solution.
Oh, magic bullet.
It's about taking a step back, looking at the bigger picture, and really prioritizing our well-being.
Yeah, mind, body, and spirit.
It's about that holistic approach.
100%.
So the next time you come across a life hack or a quick fix,
All right.
don't just take it at face value.
Question it.
Do your research. And most importantly,
Yes.
listen to your body.
Because you know you better than anybody else.
That's right. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Anytime.